Rothenberg. Welcome to the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit July 2024 edition, we're going to call it, Adam. I am joined by the amazing Adam Rothenberg, who is the interview king, media personality, and creator of the Call Me Adam entertainment platform. Adam, thank you for being my co host and MC because we're going to be doing some fun stuff tonight.
You are very welcome, Kim. I'm so excited to be here. And I would love to introduce everybody to Kim White, who is the founder and fierce leader of the My Sexy Business community. And she believes that you should have a business that you own and doesn't own you.
And I also believe, Adam, I just want to put it out there right up front. I also believe you should have this much fun every day. Like, we have so much fun with everybody in this community, and I think that should be part of everyone's like fun part of their life. So I want to get right in because tonight I'm going to frame it a little bit just so everybody understands. We're going to play some intros so everybody knows who all the speakers are and what they're about, and then we're going to head right into the roundtable, the first roundtable. In the middle of the 2 hour session, we're going to have what we're going to call the halftime show. We're trying to compete with the Super Bowl, y'all. We've got some flashy stuff. We hope it works. And then we'll do the second part of the roundtable. We have amazing leaders. We have the Salty Sisters with us tonight for the first roundtable leading. And Donna Bender and Jill Olish are going to be leading the second roundtable tonight. Yes, I know, like crowds are roaring everywhere. I hear them. And I'm going to say we are also joined by Denise Millay and Linda Bonney, who are the collaboration leaders and helped like do some research so we could have some really great conversations tonight. So, without further ado, Adam, I'm holding my breath. I am definitely holding my breath, but if we could push the July 2024 intros, y'all get ready for some amazing humans. Here we go. Donna Bender is a master givologist, branding product strategist, corporate marketing trainer, published author, host of The Big Show and Tell, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. Here we go. Denise Millay is the findability queen, search marketing consultant, technology simplifier, host of the virtual scavenger hunt, published author, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. Here we go. Here we go. Linda Bonney is a master storyteller, conversationalist, creative writer, podcast host and producer, published author, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. Here we go. Here we go. Pat Cortado is a proud military veteran, health and wellness professional, founder of Small Space Pilates, movement specialist for injury, illness, and cancer recovery, podcast host, published author, and GME roving reporter. Here we go. Here we go. Yvonne Marchese is the president of the Age Agitators Club, creator of the Aging Playfully Play Shop, podcast host, published author, branding photographer, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. Here we go. Here we go. Jill Olish is the ambassador of moms, founder and leader of the Mama Outspoken Village, published author, podcast host, executive team leader of My Sexy Business, host of the Vision Board Party, associate producer, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go. Here we go.
Adam Rothenberg is the interview king, media personality, creator of the Call Me Adam entertainment platform, published author, podcast host, red carpet correspondent, associate producer, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go.
I was just dancing along to the music. It was so catchy.
I'm thinking everybody in the green room should have been on stage. Everybody was dancing and having a good time getting ready for this summit. So, Adam, without further ado, you and I are the MCs, but you're also got another position tonight on that round table tonight. So I would like to bring up our leaders for the first round table, the Salty Sisters themselves, Kat Corchado and Yvonne Marchese, and then we'll bring up everybody else. So I'll be back for the halftime show, y'all. Just think Super Bowl, just saying.
Thank you, Kim, for the introductions, all the work that you've put into putting this together for us, and we will see you at halftime.
All right, so I'll bring everybody else up now.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Fancy intros, huh?
I know. I was like, wow. We're awesome.
Good.
No,
Yeah.
actually, it's Kim who's awesome
Exactly.
doing all this stuff, man. It's been great. So we are talking about messaging and marketing.
Yes, we are. Should we talk about what the difference is between the two first? Does that sound like a good thing? What do you guys think?
Let's start there.
Yeah. All right. So, I say whoever feels the need, let's. Going out of camera. Whoever feels like they've got something to say on this, I think we can do this kind of popcorn style. Probably we don't wait to be called on. But anybody have for them what they think the difference is between messaging and marketing?
Oh my. We're all quiet. Okay, I know this
That never
group.
happens.
I
Never
know this
happens.
group. We are never this quiet, so stop it.
I started
Stop
talking on mute.
Oh no.
I said I'll jump in, and then I saw I was on mute, so nobody could hear what I was saying.
Try again, Adam. Try again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Adam.
Okay. I feel that the difference between messaging and marketing is your mission or your why, and your marketing is how you get your mission, is how you get your message out there to the public.
So
like that.
the how, would you say it's like using maybe social media for marketing, or what's the how?
For me personally, the how would be social media. It may be my entertainment platform. It could be through my podcast. I think there's multiple ways that you can market. And I just want to add that it's personally, I'm choosing to market my message not using any kind of paid services. It's all through organic methods.
I like that.
I think our if I can add on to that, our messaging is our story. It's what we believe. It's what we want to convey to show that we're the right solution for somebody in our marketing. So that's my definition.
Would you say it's like the differentiating thing about your approach to what you do, Denise?
I think it's the reasons. Yeah, it can be any of the 7 W's or 5 W's or however many there are. It's like why, how I got here, why I do it, what it is, that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
including all of that so that somebody can get a grasp for what you're trying to do. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. So the who, what, when, where, why, those are the W's we're talking.
Yeah, it's 5. I don't know why I said 7, but felt like 5.
I feel like you could come up with more if you wanted to.
I could. You get the drift, though. I think that it's more than just a message, right? Because we're all about not, if I could say early, not creepy marketing here. We're all about authentic marketing. We're all about telling our stories and connecting with people and building relationships as opposed to manipulative words trying to get a sale, right? So
Right.
I think a message is a lot deeper than just a marketing message.
I think one of the words that I haven't heard is passion. I think your messaging comes from your passion, which is why you're in business, which is why you started this. I don't think anybody comes into business saying, yeah, I'll just be a coach. I don't have a why, I don't have a message. So I think when you have that passion, it starts to help you formulate your messaging. And then I think the marketing comes later.
Has anybody's message changed or grown over time since you started? Yeah, I'm seeing some head nods. Linda, in what way has your messaging changed?
For me, I think in some cases, years ago, I was trying to market without a message. And so my message had to become clearer. And what has changed is my clarity, my growth, the evolution, I guess, of what matters to me and what I believe in, and getting stronger in that. And it's also changed in becoming obsessed with things like conversations and stories with a Sunday roast, or becoming really curious about the output as well. So it's an interesting reflection, I think, to think about that confidence that's grown at the same time.
I think it's about being more specific. That's what I've talked about is, in being in the fitness industry, everyone's a personal trainer, they're a fitness professional, they're whatever. And I think I had to become more specific. And so my messaging became more specific so that I felt like I could call myself a movement specialist. So I think being more specific to me rather than just general, and it's niching down into what is that thing where you go, yep, that's it right there. It's a gut instinct. I think it's a gut thing because I think you live your message. Don't you think? Is it just me?
I try to live my message. Quite literally, I try to walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. And I think you're right. There's a honing that happens. Like you started calling yourself a movement specialist. What about maybe a year ago, Kat? That was like a thing that you found that spoke to you, that really nailed it for you. And
yes,
about the same time or something like that is when I found age agitator as a way to refer to myself. I didn't start with that, but it's certainly what I've been doing from the beginning. I just found a way to say it that I felt like was a little had a little more of my personality in it than just talking about midlife reinvention, because I started to think when I first started the Late Bloomer Living podcast, I did some research and I found a few podcasts out there that were talking about life after 50 and reinventing yourself and those ideas. But since I've started the podcast, now there's a lot of people talking about what I'm talking about. And I started to think, well, why there's so many voices speaking to similar things that I'm speaking to. Why would somebody come to me? Like, what is it that's unique about my point of view on this? And so I had to ask myself that question, and it has helped me to get clearer with my message that it's not as much about, it is about reinvention, which is what I started with in the beginning, but I'm now realizing that play is central to my version of reinventing yourself as you get older, that if you can do it playfully. And so that is also something that has morphed and shifted for me over time. Anybody else?
I have to. Oh, Denise, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Adam, please.
Yvonne, what I picked up on in what you were talking about of how your message has changed, I do feel like there are things that I know about myself that are in my head that I have not really gotten out into the public. And when you were mentioning about bringing certain things out there, I said to myself, I have to start saying more things that about making yourself unique. I have to start saying things more out loud about what makes me unique in the interview arena. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, and I think too, I don't want to be unique just to be unique. It's more about, and I don't want it to be a look at me kind of feeling. I want to do something that speaks to something that other people aren't speaking to, where I feel like there's a hole in the industry that I'm in that isn't being addressed, which is the idea for me, it's the idea of stress relief and having fun so that you can be more healthy as you get older.
But is it more of bringing our special sauce? Because we all have podcasts, right? And there are lots of podcasts out there, but we all have this special, unique, I call it special sauce that we bring to the table, regardless of what it is. And not everybody's going to like my special sauce, but there are people out there who will. And I think that's what you bring to the table. And that's what we all bring to the table, is that special sauce, which is why we're in business, whatever that business is for us. Anybody else feel that way?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's our special sauce. It's what we believe in. It's what brought us to where we are. It's so many facets that it's different for each one of us. So from my case and my story, I had a very broad career, very broad things I could do. So for me, I had to hone down into why I picked a certain area and why I believed that was important enough to focus my energy on it and tell that story. So it wasn't quite the dawning of something. It was just like, I have a whole host of things. What is it that really is going to make a difference? And because I think we're all here to make a difference, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Jill, I know what Jill does is talk about making a difference.
Well, Denise, like what you were saying, like for me, to begin with, messaging really was about finding a problem that I could help solve. And where was that at my passion? Like you were saying, Kat, like, how did those intertwine? How could I, through my story, solve someone else's problem? But I couldn't get clear enough on it because, Denise, like you were saying, there's so broad of the things that we could do. Like there were so many aspects, and how can I really figure out what it is that my messaging is? How do I hone it in? So it did take a lot of work to go from, oh my gosh, it's been 4 years on my entrepreneur adventure trying to figure out what is my messaging, and really have it be at peace with me also, not just what others are suggesting, but like, where is it that my heart is leading me to help others?
And I was just going to say that, especially for you, if I don't want to speak for you, Jill, but in your area, for those that you don't know, postpartum depression and motherhood and all those wonderful things, it is very broad and there are very many things, but you took your own experience and opened your heart to share with other people so they can hopefully have a better experience. And I think that is a humongous gift that you're doing along with marketing and running a business. So
Thank you.
Can I throw as Carrie would say, a spanner in the conversation? There are probably going to be people watching either now or during the replay who maybe have just started business. Maybe they're thinking about going into business. Why do they need a message? Can anyone, what's the purpose of the message?
Did I hear somebody come in? Who's
I think like 4 of us on my
No.
I'll say for me, the message is to try to reach the person who needs your service. Like Jill was like, well, what's the problem I can solve? And so for me, it's trying to reach the person who doesn't even realize that they need me. It's trying to say, hey, ageism is holding you back. It's internal. It's not just the ageism that you might encounter when you go on a job interview after 50 years old. It's not just ageism that you might encounter in society in general. It's the ageism in your mind that you don't even think about, because we are all so steeped in it that it's completely acceptable. It is completely acceptable to everybody to say, oh, I'm getting old, or she looks so old, or they look so old, or oh my goodness. And old has become a bad word, and nobody even thinks twice about it. So my messaging is I'm trying to kind of get in the face of people to say, hey, it actually is a problem for you, because it's the way you're speaking to yourself, and it's going to keep you from living your best life. So that's, for me, that's the messaging. That's why. Did I answer that question?
You did.
I'm sure.
I think we had some people in line. Who wants to go next? Nobody?
Can you repeat?
Okay.
Okay, so we may have people watching now, or maybe people watching on the replay who they're very new to business. Maybe it's their first 6 months, their first year. Maybe they just have this idea of a business and they're thinking, okay, they're talking about messaging and marketing. Why do I even need a message? Why do we need a message?
No, I just needed the question again. Linda, take it away. I know you wanted to say something.
That's okay. We're all here. I think the message is, as Kim often says, it's getting the parked car out of the driveway. It's a foundation. It's a starting point for us to then explore further and start to have conversations and find out why that matters to us and evolve. And I think a message needs to change over time. I think if your message doesn't change or grow or evolve, that can perhaps be a little bit of a red flag in a way, because we evolve as people, we grow as people, we have stories that we share or moments that we experience every day, especially as mums or as entrepreneurs or as age agitators or findability queens. We have stories constantly, which mean that our message needs to evolve. So as a starting point, that message begins the journey and begins to grow our confidence. And
so what I'm
start
hearing
to
you
develop.
say, Linda, is that you can't just put your shingle out. The next step is I need
Shake
my
that
why.
shingle.
I need my message. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I also think that it helps us be pickable. So there are so many people out there with the same ideas, the same problem solving solutions, similar stories, people who know they can help a very wide audience. But then we start questioning, well, then what makes me the person to help somebody? And when we come up with our messaging and we really find our why, it allows us to connect more with those people who are searching for us. Without that messaging, they can go anywhere and just find their solution. But when they do come to connect with us, get to know us, build that relationship, and they see us living out our message, like Yvonne was saying, how she does try to do that, like, then that allows us to get into even deeper with those people who are looking for us for help. And we can take it from there and just, solve the world's problems then, because we've figured out our messaging. That's where I think that it's important for us to have a message and to be able to really dial it in.
Yeah, I like what Linda said about how your message can change and how you have to have a jumping off point somewhere with your messaging, and how your message can help you grow. And I definitely believe that's true. I know my messaging started in one direction, and over these past few years, it has morphed and changed into a different direction. And I feel like it's getting ready to move into another direction, possibly. And I think without getting or starting, I should say, without starting that first iteration of my messaging, I would have never gotten to where I am today, because I didn't realize at the time that I didn't really enjoy the messaging that I was going after. Well, I wasn't going after. I didn't enjoy the messaging that I thought I needed to put out there. I didn't actually enjoy doing that work. And as my message started to change and move into what it is now, I see the excitement that I have for it. And I think that comes across in some of the videos that I put out. And now that I'm starting to think about other aspects of my message, because I'm not going to stop what I'm currently doing with my messaging, but I am maybe going to start putting different ideas out that I feel like I've had in my head that I feel are important for other people to know. And so as I start to move into that direction, as long as it excites me, you talked about that too, Kat, the passion. As long as I have a passion for that, then I'll keep moving forward with it.
I want to ask, I'm going to throw another spanner in the conversation, because I think so much of the reason that each of us has honed our messaging is because we have gone in weekly into the not creepy room to practice specific pitches, specific messages. I feel like we've got the maybe the larger message of our why, And then there's the, oh, I'm hosting a play shop or a workshop, or I'm hosting a webinar, and I want to invite people to that, and coming in and having to and practicing that with each other and getting feedback on it and finding out what resonates or what isn't quite clear. I think it's helped us all to hone and get a better sense of ourselves and what value we offer. I mean, Denise, being with you in that room has been tremendously valuable to me, to hear you talk about helping me be findable and having to think about, well, if I'm going to be findable and pickable, Jill, as you said, what's going to help me do that? You've given us some things to think about that have helped me hone my message, not just for a particular pitch, but to keep thinking about, well, what are people going to look up when they are looking for a solution to a problem in their life? How can I think like them so I can be part of that solution for them? I just went on a whole rant. I'm not even sure where I'm going with all that.
Well, I think, Yvonne, you're very right. It is a shift in thinking of putting yourself in your potential client's shoes and looking through their eyes at what it is they're looking for and addressing what it is they're looking for within your messaging, and doing it authentically and based on what you believe and all those things. It's not just the right words. It's addressing their need within what you say so that you can make those connections. And I think you're right. Thinking about from their perspective helps you like feel like you're making a connection better.
And it helps us get out of our own head, because in our own head, it sounds amazing. We're like, yeah. And then you go to the Not Creepy room and you're like, oh, okay, I need to work on this. And don't get me wrong, the Not Creepy room is this place where all of these beautiful people here give you feedback in a very loving way. So it makes you want to come back and be better. And I know when I've nailed it when I get that was great, Kat, from Denise and Kim White. And I'm like, yes, I'm done.
Oh my gosh. And don't forget, Adam's my co-lead. He's our bus driver. So,
Oh, yes.
He's
He
the
makes it
best.
all happen.
He's the best. So I do want to explain for anybody who's watching who doesn't know what the Not Creepy room is. We meet on Clubhouse weekly, Wednesdays, 10 o'clock Eastern time. What is that? 9 o'clock? No,
7
sorry.
a.m. It's 7 a.m. Central Time.
Sorry,
7 a.m.
totally
Central
wrong.
Time.
But so I just want to first of all extend an invitation to come and join us, because we are kind about it, and it does require some bravery, but it is so worthwhile. And I also love when we are in that room and we have conversations that aren't as much about the pitching or the pitching practice and feedback, so much as thinking about our whys, or how do you speak to one person? How do you bridge the gap between what you're offering and what somebody needs? When we get into those kinds of waters and those conversations, I think it's very helpful.
I love that, Yvonne. I think it's time we segue into marketing.
I was just thinking that, Kat.
I know, Salty
Like
Sisters,
mind
right?
held. Yes.
So here's my question. What do you do when you feel like you've been marketing? But first of all, let me backtrack. What is marketing? What is it? Where do you do it? How do you do it?
I wish our marketing specialist was here to answer this question for us.
She'll be here soon. She'll be here in the next segment. Donna Bender will be joining us. And yeah, because here's a question. Maybe you guys remember the difference, and I have a hard time with this. What is the difference between advertising and marketing?
Advertising is specifically done to produce sales. Marketing is sharing your information to build wealth for multiple potential purposes, whether it's for connecting or nurturing people or building relationships or sales. So you're pitching, you could be offering something, you could be looking to connect with people you don't know or engage with people you have known and you want to deepen the relationship. I mean, there's a million different things you could be doing with marketing, but I always think of advertising as trying to sell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And I think of marketing as brand building too, which I guess you can do while you're advertising and while you're messaging. And so where does branding fit into marketing?
I think branding is just part of so I think of marketing as being the people-y side of me, having people see a little part of who I am, my humor, what I believe in, but giving information out there. And so I think that's when I do that, but I also have my brand colors. They also know who I am. I'm the movement specialist. I've got my purple everywhere. So I think when you do that, it's this full picture of, oh, wow, what is she talking about? So I think branding is part of your marketing, but it's kind of this subtle kind of, like when I see your colors, Yvonne, I'm like, oh, that's Yvonne. Same thing with, everyone on here. I know your color. I see those colors. And sometimes it's somebody else. I'm like, no. That's not you. That's somebody else I know. So I think it becomes very ingrained when we see the brand colors, the branding, the messaging. Like I have my catitude, all of those things that I think we put out there as part of marketing.
I'm not great with the definitions at all, and I'm still learning all these things and how they fit into making my business work. But as I think about this, the first thing that comes to mind is an analogy of like putting our house on the market when we want to sell our house. And when we're building our business, are we not then putting ourselves on the market to show that we're available for our audience, for someone to choose us? So how do we do that then? And that's putting ourselves out on socials or building an email list and actually creating those connections then with others to let them know that we're here and around and what we do and what our story is. And then branding is part of that and how we show up. And when we become our brand, that becomes us living proof of our story and our business. And that's, I think, how like the branding fits in with our marketing. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my thought process.
She's pretty good with those definitions, don't you think, guys?
I think so. All I could think of was, so you could stage your house to sell, right? You would probably clean up all the junk that's normally the flotsam and jetsam that's around, right? And maybe next level, you bake a little bread before an open house. Maybe you do some plantings in the yard to get the curb appeal up. And so is that messaging or marketing?
Does it not go hand in hand then?
Because you're saying it's an awesome house, come and buy it. And so, and by the act of putting it out there, you're marketing your message.
Getting spicy here.
Yeah.
Woo.
What say you, Linda, Adam?
I just wanted to follow Jill's lead with that because this is an interesting concept, I think. And I heard someone else talking about this the other day, where they were saying your messaging is a little bit like the internal of your house. And imagine, let's just tell a little bit of a story where you have your house on the market and you have the perfect buyer who comes along. And on the inside, it is well kept, well cleaned. The oven is pristine. There's been renovations and refining all of the internal messaging. But on the outside, the lawns are overgrown. There's weeds up to your knees. There's everything else. And so on the outset, on the marketing side of things, it looks like it might be a little off-putting. On the flip side to that, if we switch that story around and let's say that the outside of the house was very well kept and the lawns were mowed, there was roses in the garden, there was a water fountain as you walked down the path, and then you opened it up inside and it was 1960s carpet and perhaps the kitchen sink needs a little bit of upgrading, and depending on who I guess you have on your team, if in our community, in that circumstance, it would be like a renovator's delight, basically. So you could walk in and see the potential. You could still see the foundations are there. However, for some people, walking into that may feel a little bit like they've been presented with one thing and then find another thing on the other side. So
I think that is such a good analogy, Linda. I mean, think about if you put all of your energy into that outer image, and everybody thinks that when they're going to come to you for help, that they're going to get a certain something, and you haven't done the thought work for what's really important and all of the things that are there, they're going to feel like a bait and switch kind of thing, or that they were expecting something and come in and it's something else entirely. So you've got to have the inner and the outer matching up.
Mm-hmm. But can I just add in there, I love that, Linda, what you were talking about is even when they match, the inside matches the outside, it's not going to be appealing to everybody. And that's how our business is too. We're not everybody's flavor, as someone famous tells us all the time. So you could have the most beautiful house inside and out, but people are like, no. So we're not everybody's flavor. And I think it's important for people to understand that.
Yeah, you could have the most beautiful house and not want to sell it. You could have the most beautiful house for sale and not advertise it. Or like there's lots of ways. It is hard to match the two on the inside and outside. A lot of people don't have the energy or inclination or motivation or passion to garden, however, can fix a hole in the wall quite easily, or vice versa. Sorry, Denise, go.
I was just going to add that to continue the analogy, if that beautiful house inside, outside, or upside down is there, our marketing, if we have a great message and we don't tell people, we'll give them a way to get to it. You know, if they can't find the house, they don't have the address, and there's nothing there for them to, like, it's not on the multiple listing, it's not listed with a real realtor, they can't actually buy it, you know, so that's the pickable part too. So you know, all this is to get the right people engaged and kind of give them opportunities that they're comfortable with to engage with us too.
Yeah,
that's
and just circling back to what Yvonne was talking about before, as far as the changes that we've had in our messaging, I doubt that there are a lot of houses out there that are the same as they were 10 years ago. They need developing or maintaining, or they need to be lived in. And if you think that your messaging and marketing is the same as it was when it was built, it can cause a few problems. Look, it's doable. It's just different.
And there was something that Jill said earlier too about, and I think this goes along with the conversation, the inside versus the outside of the house. If you're putting a message out there and then somebody sees you doing something the opposite, they're not going to believe the message. For example, I'm just going to use you as an example. If you were putting a message out there about all these exercises that you do, but then on the flip side, you were actually just sitting on your couch eating junk food and not exercising in real life, then, and somebody saw you do that, how are they going to believe all of what you're putting out there? And just for the record, Kat does not do that. Kat does what she preaches, but I'm just saying you don't want to put a message out there and then not follow it yourself on the inside. And I think we all are living proof of the fact that whatever message we are putting out there, we are passionate about, we are walking the walk and talking the talk. And it's not just out there as a showy kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I will just want to add that Kat does eat ice cream.
And she loves dessert.
And the reason she can eat ice cream is because she does all the other stuff.
Thank you, Yvonne. I love my ice cream. You know that. I wanted to ask this question. When we first talked way back about marketing, I'd always heard that you're on all the platforms everywhere. How did you guys know how to market, where to market? Did you start with one place and then gradually add on? And I'm asking this question because as a new person in business that might be watching, they want to go to all the things. They want to do all the things. And that's a lot to do. So where did you guys start in your marketing when you were trying to decide where to go? Where was the first place you went to? Was it a website? Was it social media?
I started with a website first, and then I moved into when social media came more into the mainstream. I then went to one platform. I mean, when I was starting out, there was only one platform at first, so I didn't have 12,000 options to choose from. So I went with the one. Well, actually, no, wait. Wait a minute. I just realized there were other ones that may not be in existence anymore when I started. So I started with one. The point I'm trying to make is I started with one, and then I moved to other ones as they came into existence. But I didn't always start right away with the new thing. I first would observe, I would see what it's like. And now that there's so many options, I personally have chosen to do 2 as my primary. And now there's 3 more I've been able to start posting on. But for at least a good year or 2, I was probably exclusively besides my entertainment platform, I was on 2 social media platforms. And now I've started to branch out into others because I have found a way that helps me easily post to those other platforms. So it's not a heavy lift. And so I have expanded. So now maybe there's like 5 platforms I'm on, but it definitely started with one, and I kept moving one. And then once I got comfortable with that one, then I could take on another one. But I didn't jump from one to another until I had one down pat.
I think I underestimated the power of a website. You know what I mean? I didn't think a website was, I won't say it was all that. I mean, it is all that. I didn't realize it was all that till I had a website, and I was like, okay, I get it. Anybody else?
I felt like the website was really important from the beginning. I wanted it to be my space. And in addition to that, I was using Facebook and Instagram. And then I have leaned much more on Instagram as time has gone on. As I've gotten more comfortable with putting myself on camera, which I was not comfortable with in the beginning. That's why I started a podcast that was audio only. But when I started to embrace reels and getting past my discomfort or out of my comfort zone and getting on camera, I started to see a real difference in being able to connect with people and actually having more control over my messaging through those platforms. You know, I feel like when Clubhouse was very popular during the pandemic, that was a huge growth space for me. What I think it managed to do, I went in because I wanted research and development. I wanted to see what people were actually struggling with so that I could hone in on what to help with. But it definitely drove downloads for a while there for my podcast. And now I'm focusing more on YouTube because I'm realizing the power of it being a search engine. And I have to credit that to spending time with Denise Millay and learning that, oh, okay, so the stuff that lands on my Instagram feed or my Facebook feed or LinkedIn, any of that, it's there and gone. It's kind of ephemeral. But if I really want to help somebody and they're looking for an answer to a particular question, they're going to go search it up in Google, and maybe that'll send them over to something that I put on YouTube that's going to stay there because what I'm doing is evergreen. So thank you, Denise.
What do they call that, Yvonne? Growth?
What? Well, I'd be interested to hear what everybody else used when they started.
I'm going to jump in because unlike Adam and being very open and honest here, I tried to use all of them at once. Very haphazardly, very sloppy, very messy, very all the things. And it taught me a lot. All of them at once. And there was lots of shiny motivation behind that. There was lots of people who made it look easy. There was lots of people who were encouraging you to be everywhere at once. There was lots of people who I was trying to listen to at once, and that wasn't the best move in hindsight, but also taught me a lot at the same time.
Teachable moments, right?
Oh, such a core memory.
How about you, Jill?
I have to say I did not start with a website because of monetary reasons. So when starting out, like just not there in the budget. So best place was Facebook for me because you had a business page that you could set up, and that's where I was. And Instagram connected right to it. So I said, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone, let's do it. And that's where I built it from. And that's still where I am today, plus a website. And now I've introduced YouTube in there, but as in collaboration with Linda and our podcast together. So I tend to stay where I already have connections. And that's where so many of my connections are already on those platforms that I've built content on already. So diving into the new stuff is a little scary, but goes slowly. And at least there's classes out there like our mastermind groups to help figure out that territory as we go along. But staying where like I already have relationships built is where I like to be.
Yeah, me too. I've started with a bunch and I pulled back because I found that the people I was looking for were in certain places and not others. And then I was also not comfortable with Reels, doing Instagram as much as I was with LinkedIn or Facebook. So I think that's part of it too, is you have to get what fits your style. And yeah, we all want to grow and push the envelope, but really you don't come through as authentic when you're not comfortable doing something. So you really have to put together what works for you, I think.
That's a great point, Denise. It is a great point. And I think what happened is I started off with Facebook more so for social media. In fact, my following on Instagram was teeny tiny for a long time. And because I think my age demographic was over in Facebook. I think a younger user was over on Instagram. And what I'm finding now is really interesting is that LinkedIn tends to have a lot of other thought leaders that are doing some of similar work as I am. And I like hanging out there to connect with them specifically, but I feel like I can reach people who don't know they need me in Instagram. And the interesting thing I've found with my Instagram following is that not all of them are podcast listeners. So they're not necessarily, it's not going to translate into podcast downloads for me. But what I can do is hit them with a quick bit of information or a quick funny or a quick something to make them start thinking.
I think one of the things that I have heard is to pick the one platform, social media platform, and work that. Which one are you comfortable with? Start there. Because I never thought I'd be on YouTube, ever. I never thought I'd be on camera, ever. I was like, nope, I'm staying behind. I'm gonna do my podcast. It's just audio, just like Yvonne. And now look what we're doing. Look what we're doing. So
look at the time too. I think we're coming up into halftime mode. Aren't we?
We have a halftime show coming up, and I think we're ready to go to that.
So I'm coming to mess everything up, y'all. I'm just saying. Jillo, I'm calling an audible. Would you like to stay on the stage with Adam and I?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, I'm going to send everybody else to the green room, and hold on just a second. We're going to frame this Super Bowl worthy halftime show about these amazing humans. That's what I'm going to say. So if we can pull everybody down, then we will get this party started. I just want to frame really quickly what it is we're even talking about this halftime show. I think it's important that everybody knows that these humans are real humans. They're not, someone who is just talking. They don't have a business. They're not doing the things. They all are practicing what they preach. So I am very proud of these humans, and I call myself the Puppy and Pony Show behind the scenes because I want to celebrate them. I want everyone to see what amazing things they're doing. So we do have about a 6-minute video that has a lot of, I'm going to call it a lot of wow factor and a lot of hold on, I don't know what I'm seeing. It's a whole lot of extra, kind of like me. So if you will stick around with us for the best commercial you've seen all year long, we are going to play this, and then we're going to come back and have a little bit of a conversation between the three of us.
good.
So I think we should explain ourselves a little bit, because these humans that were in this video, we have to brag on. And it's not because they were born, business owners and they were born rock stars, in Yvonne's voice, of course. But here's the thing. Everybody started with, maybe I can try this. Maybe I can do this thing. Maybe. And then now look at everybody. Look at all the things. And this video, just to be very transparent, this video is actually the one that wouldn't play in April at the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit. So true to form, messy is beautiful, I'm going to say. The July one wouldn't play today. So we pulled the April one back out and played it, because just looking at all the things everybody has done, all the things that they have accomplished, if y'all want some powerhouses in your life, I would go through and I would connect with everyone here. I would, because if you're looking for someone who's legit, they're not creepy marketing to anyone. They're not doing things that are, I'm going to call it sketchy. They're literally influencing and impacting the world. This is the crew that we believe in. So Adam and Jill, I want to just say out loud, I believe honor is due the both of you. You organized the summit once again, and I am grateful for that. But I also want to say Jill gives a report weekly. And do you know what the number was this week, Jill? Do you remember the number?
For the hours put in to put this?
For the Chronicles.
The Chronicles. Oh my gosh. Oh, 5,390? Was that it? Something around there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's how many things this crew has done in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. When you're doing things with your messaging, and I'm going to go back to the theme, when you're doing things with the messaging and then you're marketing the right way, this is what happens. So I'm super proud. Adam, what say you? Because this is brag halftime. They get a brag on the Super Bowl. We get a brag.
Well, what I would love to let everybody know is that one of the great things about being in a community like the My Sexy Business community is that you get to pull ideas from everybody and you get support from everybody. And for example, in the roundtable, we were talking about the different social media platforms that we use to market our message. And I was saying how I started with one, then I moved to another. Well, if it wasn't for watching some people in this community, I may have not branched out to these other platforms, because I didn't have what I'm going to call an easy way to get everything on those platforms. And it was going to be a very heavy lift. But then I was able to watch Jill use a scheduler that works amazingly. And so I was able to adopt that. And that is what is helping me get on these additional platforms. But if I wasn't in this community, I wouldn't have had somebody like Jill to look at and connect with and follow. And I can name something about every single person in this community that I have witnessed and observed, that if we weren't all together, I wouldn't know how to do something. And there's always something happening in my daily life that makes me think of somebody in this community in one way or another. And if you can find that community for yourself, I would highly recommend that. And if you feel like this community is your flavor, I personally want to invite you to come join us and see if we really are your flavor, because we love people.
Adam, as you're saying that, I'm thinking we all influence each other in here, and we'll see Yvonne post a reel and we're like, okay, I think I could do something similar. And then I see you post your singing on reels. I'm like, okay, well, if these two can post themselves out loud like this, then I know I can do it. And then I get Kat on YouTube posting something else, and Denise is hosting a game show, and Linda and I are creating content together for a podcast, an unedited podcast that we're putting out there. And then Donna created a whole new show, just like boom shakalaka, awesome. And I'm just like, why aren't we setting trends right now on all of these platforms? Because that's technically what we're doing in our little circle here, is just being trendsetters of all the things that we are doing. And when we got all this stuff together to show this halftime show, we were so confused as to what we were being asked of until we saw an example. And then it was like, oh, well, yeah, I have that because I did this. I had stuff for this. And now we're all like brainstorming all the different things we can do. And now all the different things that we want to do next. And it's beautiful evolution in business through community. And it's so cool to see that, because it's all birthed right in our masterminds, and especially in the summit. Because if we look back at April summit, there was so much that came out of it that it created momentum for this summit. And it's really so cool.
Well, we want to get back to the regularly scheduled programming. Can't get my words out. I just want to brag that Adam and Jill, thank you, because without all your hard work, we wouldn't be here tonight. I want to thank all the masterminders, because if they weren't like willing to come on camera, like Yvonne was saying, if they weren't willing to do these things, it would not be very fun for everyone. So y'all have a really great second round table, and I think we should go back to the intros quickly and run them through and let everybody know who is joining the roundtable this second round.
Here we go.
Donna Bender is a master givologist, branding product strategist, corporate marketing trainer, published author, host of The Big Show and Tell, summit leader, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go.
Denise Millay is the findability queen, search marketing consultant, technology simplifier, host of the virtual scavenger hunt, published author, summit leader, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go. Here we go.
Linda Bonney is a master storyteller, conversationalist, creative writer, podcast host and producer, published author, summit leader, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go. Here we go.
Pat Cortado is a proud military veteran, health and wellness professional, founder of Small Space Pilates, movement specialist for injury, illness, and cancer recovery, podcast host, published author, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yvonne Marchese is the president of the Age Agitators Club, creator of the Aging Playfully Play Shop, podcast host, published author, branding photographer, summit leader, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go. Here we go.
Jill Olish is the ambassador of moms, founder and leader of the Mama Outspoken Village, published author, podcast host, executive team leader of My Sexy Business, host of the Vision Board Party, associate producer, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go. Here we go.
Adam Rothenberg is the interview king, media personality, creator of the Call Me Adam entertainment platform, published author, podcast host, red carpet correspondent, associate producer, and GME roving reporter.
Here we go.
Well, we are so glad to be back for the second part of our Fierce Entrepreneur Summit tonight. Thank you so much, Kat and Yvonne, for leading us in the first part. I am excited to have Donna joining us for the second half with us on stage. Welcome to joining us. And Donna and I will be the roundtable leaders for this half as well. So let's get this party started. Well, continued. Donna, I know you were listening in, but we wanted to invite you to, I think, start us off with something spicy if you're up for it, because I know I missed an answer from you in the last round about what marketing was, but we also went over what messaging is as well. So I don't know if you wanted to step in with telling us what messaging and marketing mean to you.
Well, Jill, before I believe that it all starts with branding, okay? Because this is a really easy way to remember this. Branding is the promise that you are making to your audience. What's your promise? Messaging is the story behind the promise, okay? And marketing is the action that you take. So it's and if you look at it that way, everybody promises something to their audience. So I'll start it off, and then maybe everybody could say what their promise is. So my promise is I want to help businesses, entrepreneurs increase their sales by building relationships with their clients. I mean, and by giving, and one of the ways is by giving gifts. So, but that's what my brand is all about. So, who wants to go next?
I'll jump in. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, my promise is that I am going to entertain you through my interviews and help you discover things about the celebrity and artists that you love that you may not find somewhere else.
I like it.
And my promise is to help people be findable in search engines, which means getting their content included in the search engine so their customers and clients have them as a choice when they're looking for a solution.
Kat, Yvonne, Linda?
I'll go. I think my promise is helping people, specifically midlife women, feel good in their body without feeling like they have to be perfect, and helping them find their fitness fabulosity.
Okay.
Okay. My promise is that you will find parallels in other people's stories and your own, and uncover memories that you may not have captured for a while.
And that's really powerful. Okay, so sorry, you just got me thinking, Linda. So my promise is to help you rethink what it means to age so that you can live your best life for as long as you are roaming this earth, and live playfully at any age.
That's awesome. Well done, everyone. So, Jill, what do you think if everybody goes around and says what their message is, which is the story behind the promise?
Oh, Well, let me give my promise real quick. And that is that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're totally fine. I think the promise that I make is that there is hope and for all moms, and that you're not alone in the experience that you have as a mom, that there is someone else with a similar or an experience that can relate. So actually, Donna, before we go to our messaging question, there was a question posed about our promise and how are we living our promise?
Oh, and who posed that question? May I ask? How are we living that promise? Well, who wants to go first? I'll go.
I'll go first. I'll jump in, Donna. I'll jump in. I am living that promise by challenging myself daily to get outside my comfort zone in a playful way, so that I am learning something new every day. Sometimes I do that through 30-day challenges, like the 11-minute workout challenge. Currently, I am learning to shuffle dance at the age of 55 after a lifetime of saying I'm not a dancer. And because that gives me the opportunity to live my promise, because that's something I think it would be fun. Why am I holding myself back?
Anybody else want to jump in?
Well, I don't have any kind of lofty, wonderful thing that like Yvonne does, but I would say that I'm trying to live my promise by simplifying all the things that make people not want to do search marketing, and simplify it such that they can take the steps and get all the benefits for their business. So that's basically what I'm living, is trying to figure out how to convey this so that it's not as scary and crazy and complicated for entrepreneurs to use.
I'll jump in. And Denise, I'll just say you are doing a great job with that, because I have followed a lot of your techniques, and I have seen the positive results of it. So thank you for being here. And I would say I'm living my message by what I consider asking different questions, or I sometimes say asking the questions others are afraid to ask, others want to ask. Oh God, now I just got it all tongue twisted. I feel like I ask different questions than other people is the simplest way that I'm going to say it for right now.
Well said, Adam.
And I do think that you ask the questions that are unsaid, like the ones that we're all afraid to ask, you do ask out loud. It is extremely helpful, I think, to the majority of us when we are in a place of, I don't know if I should ask this question. So for me, I think I try to be living proof, and, you know, being mama outspoken, I need to be more outspoken. And I get that constantly said to me all the time. So I do try to just be genuine, I think, in the things that I say and do and put out for others to see. So that's how I try to live my promise.
Linda, yeah.
I think that I'm living my message by helping people understand that getting fit, whatever that is for people, isn't a fine line. It's not a straight line, and that life gets in the way, and helping people to understand that even as, you know, a movement specialist, I'm not perfect. So I don't expect perfection from other people when they're trying to get fit, understanding where they are, where they've been, and where they're going.
I love all of these so much. I think I'm living my promise by capturing stories in a way that intertwines both mine and yours and yours and yours and yours. And so capturing stories through conversations, through storytelling, through all sorts of ways in which we can find extraordinary in the ordinary every day, and remembering that we all have stories which are unique to our own, while also capturing that in a way which creates a legacy, not just now, but for the future as well.
I will say that living the promise is, I use myself as an example all the time, as what I'm sharing with people I went through. And that has become, it's part of my message. It's part of it's my promise and living my promise, but it's also my story, and that's the whole part of messaging. And I want to make it easier for everybody. That's what my book, that's why I wrote the book. That's why I've been working on, the Giving Plan workshops, and want to go in and train sales teams in a corporate setting. I want to help other people get the same reaction that I have. And it's so fulfilling. It's just that I want everybody to feel good, the giver, the receiver, and their bottom line. So that's how I'm living my promise. So,
Donna, can I just add one thing onto something that you just said?
Mm-hmm.
You also said that you want people to feel good, and Kat has said she wants people to feel good in their body. And I feel like the one universal theme between all of us, and we're all in different areas, is that we do all want people to feel good, and we want to be that person to help them feel good in each of our own industries. We want to be that person for them. So I think you tapped into something very special there.
Oh, thank you. And it's I always say, I've been down the road, I've gone through all the trials and the tribulations. I've been doing this a while, and I want to make it easier for someone to do it, and not dread giving gifts, not dread being nice to people. That it's wonderful to have it as part of your, day-to-day existence. And so that's why I have been enjoying my own confessions of things that I did wrong, and how else do we learn? You know what, that expression, it's not so many times that you failed, it's how many times you've gotten up and put one foot in front of the other. It's not really like that, but it's the essence of that. So
Donna, you had asked before about our messaging, but I'd like to see how is our promise actually different from our messaging? Because we've all developed our messaging, as we were talking about in the first half, and it's evolved over time. And some of us have had it where it's been pretty solid and just gotten more eloquent with the wording that we use for it, and still has that same messaging. And I'm thinking, includes what our promise is. So is what you're saying, our messaging is our story, is it really just an embellished way of how we share our promise out loud?
Well, that's a very good question, Jill. But and with you and what you do, your messaging is your own story as to why you're doing what you're doing. You have your business, so you could help other mothers and let them know that there's life after birth. And the way you are successfully doing it is by telling your story. You are like a prime example of, really, that is your message, is your story. So glad you brought that up. But everybody always says that, that they're similar. It's an extension of. I mean, what are you going to market unless you have something to market? Okay, so you start with, what do I want people to do? What am I doing this for? What is it about this that I want to do? And it's not the business plan. It's what is the end result? What is it you want people to do? Denise wants people to be able to be found online. That's her brand. I mean, you could really, if you look at each of you, you could say it in one sentence. And then the story, as we all know, Linda, help me out here, is everybody has a story to tell. And that's the beauty of each of us. We all have our genuine stories. And then how are we going to get all that out? That's the marketing. That's the part that we're all going through right now. Each and every one of us is to, figure out which one is working for us, like Adam did. I still scratch my head sometimes when you think of, we all do a lot of work and then you don't see anything happen from it, and so you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And someone who is a connection to the Lord above waves a little wand and it happens. What can we say?
So we were talking a little bit about an analogy about putting our house on the market, and that we can build the curb appeal, and which is our marketing, but then also the messaging is inside and those being aligned. And now you're introducing, how do we know it's working? So when we put our house on the market and we get people coming to open houses or biting and asking for things, like, how do we know that our messaging is on point, that our marketing is reaching who we're looking to reach? What are we doing to make sure our houses are aligned?
I think everybody has their own answer for that. So why don't we go around and have everybody answer that question, Jill? What a good one.
I think that's a great question, Jill.
Adam, are you answering it now?
I love that. He's not answering.
I'm just saying that it's a
question.
great question. I think for me personally, it's a challenge to know what is working and what isn't working, because unless somebody gives me direct feedback, whether that is an email or they have commented on something I have posted or they liked a post, I don't know what is working and what isn't working. And I can get maybe some determination by some of the analytics, but to me, it's still not a true, what's the word I'm looking for? Jill, you're my voice when I can't find it. What's the word?
Representation.
It's not proof. It's a living proof.
Yes. It's not a true measurement. That's the word I'm trying to look for. It's not a true measurement of what is working and isn't working. So it is, for me, it is a difficult thing to measure at times.
It can be really difficult. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It can be really difficult to measure. And I think it helps to know what your goal is with each messaging tidbit that you put out there through your marketing. So what I am hoping for with some of my posts on Instagram is engagement. Yes, I want eyeballs. Yes, I want views. I love likes. That's all good. But it's a mix of those things that tells me the message is getting my message in front of eyeballs is a measurement of success. And some would say it's a vanity metric, but in the case of what I'm doing, if people are seeing and spending time listening to the message, I call that a win. Does it always convert into, let's say a download for a podcast episode? No, because on Instagram, not everybody's a podcast listener. Does it always convert into somebody coming into my community? No, but occasionally it'll be a new email sign up. Mm-hmm. Ding, ding. Hey, that's good. Because now they're saying, yes, I want to be in communication with you. And that's a chance for me to nurture that relationship one-on-one instead of relying on the algorithm gods in the social media world.
Yeah, that is a true measure, and I think it's an interesting question, because we may all have different goals that we're looking to measure. So what about you, Kat? I know you want people to join the club at the Small Space Pilates. Yeah.
Well, yes, but I'm going to use the house analogy again. I think that, it's working because you get an offer on the house. You get someone who wants to buy. When I get someone who it starts to ask questions, am I a good fit for this? Blah, blah. And I'll say, why don't you come and try a free week?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I know my messaging is working, is when, I get those kinds of questions. And it's not all the time, but like Yvonne was talking about, you get someone who really resonates with something on social media, and you're like, yeah, they might not be a buyer. They might be a lurker, someone who's like, well, I kind of like what she's saying, but I'm not quite sure that I'm there yet. So sometimes we don't know, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of time.
And the lurkers may be learners too. They may be there to take in what they can in their own time. Every now and again, somebody will say, oh, I've been seeing your stuff and it's so much fun. And I have no idea that they watch any of it because they don't ever comment. But for instance, I have a whole other business that's photography, and somebody local in my town here came to me to get her headshots done and told me, hey, I've been listening to your podcast and I finally decided I need to start a new business and I need headshots for my business and I want to come to you. And I was like, the angels were singing that day, because I was like, wow, I had no idea she was listening. And all of a sudden she's taking action in her life. Great. She came to me for headshots. That's awesome. But she's taking action in her life. That's what I want. I want people to take action in their life. And if every now and again I hear something like that from somebody, my day is made.
Absolutely.
Denise, what were you going to add?
I was just going to say that, I tend to stay away from vanity metrics of any kind, because people do need to build trust. So they need to see you and get used to seeing you. So it's really hard to know that is working until you have the encounters, like Yvonne said, where you meet somebody at a conference. They're like, oh gosh, I saw your videos for the last 2 months. And how was your event? And then you kind of go, okay, well, they're seeing it. They're not saying anything, but they're seeing it. And, they need to see this over and over again. And then when they encounter something that you can fit for, then they'll reach out to you. And that's really hard to wait for and be comfortable with, when we all want to know that every single thing we do is working. It's really hard to do. Patience is a virtue. It's very hard to have. So.
And I love going back as simple as getting feedback from people in a community, like Adam was saying. Like, getting the feedback is one way of knowing your messaging is working. And then I also really love the replies back to our emails. Getting to monitor the My Sexy Business website emails is one thing, and seeing those replies that come in when we get those emails out, and then hearing Adam get replies to his emails. And then when I started being consistent with my emails and getting replies back, it gets me excited because, well, somebody took what I had to say into consideration to actually have a conversation with me. So I know I said something that made them interested in replying back. And I think that can go as far as onto socials, where we're posting as well and getting that engagement. Like Yvonne was saying, she's looking for some of the comments, and it's that building of relationships, which requires us to be trustworthy also. So it's going to take us some time to get that. So it's not a quick process, but I think it can be as simple as recognizing those little things.
I was going to say something, but I can't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
I didn't even write it down. I'm sure it'll come back. You know, the thing is, I believe that we all are in business to have business. Okay. Bottom line, we all need business, whether it's buying books, whether it's photography, whether it's, you know, new clients. We all have that. And I look at all the social media and all the things we're doing. And I believe we're all doing it collectively as equally, you know, out there. We're all out there. And I look at it as my form, and my email as my form of networking. Because before COVID, I was always outside of my house, truly outside of my house. But and if I didn't have social media now, if I didn't have an email, if I wasn't doing all the marketing that we're all doing, nobody would know I'm in existence. And so when I see when people say to me, "Oh my God, I always see you, you know, on social media," they didn't say that when I was out and about networking, because I didn't have time to do the marketing like that. And so it you know, it goes from one stream to another. It's like, now I don't want to go outside. No, I do. But I find that the fact that we have that foundation, and we have all found ways in which to batch things, and we found ways to have them scheduled out. You know, I didn't do marketing prior to getting involved with this community. That was my biggest challenge, was I don't have time. I can't do the marketing and be responsible to grow my business. There's no way. And little by little, I'm kicking and screaming, but somebody is showing me there's a way. And it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think we are all working as hard as we possibly can. And I think we're all at a point right now that, you know, whatever the results are that we're all looking for, it's not because we're not working at it. That's all. You know, if the person may not have seen that post, or that person may not have read your email, but slowly, you know, with all the platforms we're all on, someone has to see something. So anyway.
Linda, you had something to add?
I just wanted to circle back to the how do we know it's working, and take a little bit more of an internal reflection. This is coming off the back of a conversation Jill and I actually only had this week about, you know, patting ourselves on the back. And when we are looking for acceptance and validation and approval and those sort of things, a big part of, I think, how I know that my messaging and marketing is working, and branding, I think a big part of that is my own inner confidence and own ability to not just do, be busy, and work. And the concept of being able to slow down and get refined in my messaging has been very powerful, and a very big lesson and headbutt that I've had to experience multiple times as well. So part of how I know that it's working for me is being able to have more confidence in talking about my book to a complete stranger, or my inner belief in the fact that I know that I want to persevere and keep going, and also my own ability to reflect both internally and externally at the same time.
Yeah. Denise actually just posted a question of, what beliefs do you have that influence how you use your messaging to market? Okay, Denise, go ahead.
Can you ask that question again, Denise? I'm not sure I get it.
So, what do you believe about what's your belief in how you're using your message to market? So, like, we don't want to be wearing a plaid jacket. We don't want to be creepy, right? So, what is it that you believe about how you use your message? What is it you're trying to show? So, for me, I am trying to combat the people that are selling creepy SEO services. So, for me, I want to convey that I'm calm, I'm simple, I care. You know, I am not just there to make a buck. I am there to actually help them. And that's my kind of service bend. So, does anybody else have input?
Well, since you put it that way, I mean, I really didn't know it. I didn't understand the question either. But the way I'm understanding it now is, I think I think having my show and tells, having something that I really enjoy doing and offering it freely to anybody who wants to come to learn, to see products, to get ideas. I think that, I think that all the free things that we all offer is a way in which we all do that. And it's not creepy marketing when you're offering something free and you're not like, knocking on people's doors and saying, and you need to come, it's, you hope they come. But I think that's my answer. But Linda, I just wanted to say something to you because I was on that Clubhouse when you first brought up the Sunday Roast. And I think it was the first time I had ever heard you. And I'm saying to myself, okay, when I heard you ask that question, I went, what is she asking about a Sunday roast? And then I just started thinking about Sunday. I couldn't stop thinking about Sunday roast. And I think it's so brilliant that Sunday roast can draw so much information out from someone. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Denise, I think in an answer to your question, I think my belief in that I just want to have fun. I've always been interested in the entertainment industry and every aspect of it. So I think my desire to have fun and my curiosity about people and about life and about what makes them tick and about the everyday things that they do is what inspires my messaging. And I think just in saying that, I think I need to, like I mentioned earlier, I need to start talking about that more publicly and not just in my head.
I think for all of us, just saying these things out loud is a way of processing it so that we're backing up ourselves and just understanding ourselves more. So that's why I asked the question. But that's great, Adam. I agree with everything you just said because it comes through.
I think I want to kind of combine an answer to Linda's question and to yours, Denise, because I think it does come down to confidence, Linda, for both of these, actually. And for me, by what I mean in confidence in this is confidence in that I have the messaging right, that I am not stumbling over what I'm trying to say. When I tell someone what my purpose is, what I'm doing, what my business is about, how I help moms, like I have like my little elevator pitch down because I believe it. And it's not like, do I or don't I believe that? And I think that's where that comes in for your answer too, Denise, is I'm not trying to make something up on the spot to get you to like me. Instead, it's I have the confidence in what my promise is, what my messaging is. And like, I actually believe it myself, and not just because I wrote it down one day saying this is what my business is going to be like. And yeah, that's how I think we can do both of those and be confident in it.
Bravo. That authenticity coming through.
Yeah.
I just want to extend on that as well, because that's very profound and very much on point. But also, I think for me, making stuff ups or stumbling sometimes and being okay with that and laughing about it with the other person has also been part of that evolution, and not worried about what they think as much as I
There's so
used to
much
be.
growth in that. Yeah.
Yeah, Linda, that is one of the first things that occurred to me when Denise asked her question, is that one of my beliefs is that I don't want somebody to come to my Instagram feed or listen to my podcast and think, well, she's got it all figured out. Because I don't. I am on the journey, and I want to share the mess with everybody, because I do believe to my core that messy is beautiful. It's beautiful. We are human beings. We are messy human beings. Let's be messy with our messaging so that people can see what's really there, and not just glossy perfection on the surface, you know?
I don't think I ever believed messy was beautiful, Denise, until I became a member, a card-carrying member of this community. And I didn't. It was perfection, you know, and I still get mad at myself on certain things, but God knows I'm not perfect. And I have actually a good time now not being perfect, because we're all human. And the idea that we're allowing other people to see that in a group setting, because we all do that, I think is great, because it takes so much pressure off of something when you can say to yourself, it's okay if it's messy, you know. And I never gave myself that permission before. And it wasn't until, Kim kept saying it that I started to go, yeah, it is. So thank you for bringing that up.
I'd like to answer that question if I can. I think, my belief is that health is wealth, but I also want to break the stigma that anyone in the fitness industry is perfect, because we're not. And showing that imperfection, whether it's during my live classes, whether I stumble over my words when I'm trying to say something and it comes out a different way and I just laugh about it, whether or not I made a typo on a social media thing, I'm like, oh, okay. So I think it's people seeing you as real, as a real person. And, part of that is that no perfection policy for me, because I'm not perfect, and I shouldn't expect anyone else to be perfect in their marketing, or especially in fitness, because, it's changing all the time. So, just trying to, help people understand that their health is their wealth, and that when they're healthy, that they can do all kinds of things that they want to do, regardless of their.
I love that you let people see the mess, that imperfection, Kat, because when we let people see our messiness and we're still moving through our messiness, it gives them permission to move through their messiness to get to the other side.
And speaking of being real, it is really time that we already have to start wrapping things up. I can't believe how quickly this summit has flown by. So we just want to go around and do quick final thoughts. We have probably about maybe 30 seconds each person. And Donna, I'm going to start with you for final thoughts.
I was pressing the wrong mic to unmute myself. I loved everything you guys said, because I heard the other session, And I was thrilled to be able to join you on this one. And I love the way the conversation just flowed. And I always love hearing, I always love hearing everybody and seeing seeing everybody's light bulbs go off. And we all can see each other growing more than we can ourselves. Because I could go like this. And, and then you go to yourself and you're like, yeah, I could see this. So I could see so much that you have all done. So thank you for all of you for being here.
Thank you, Donna. Linda, final thoughts?
Thank you again for everybody else. We've done this before. We will do it again. We appreciate you all listening, and we are in the thick of all of the learnings every single day.
Very true. Yvonne, final thoughts? You're on mute, Yvonne.
I also want to thank anybody who is here tonight with us or watching on replays, and encourage you to start the car and get it out of neutral. And one of my favorite things that Kim always says is you can't steer a parked car. So start.
Very well said. Denise, final thoughts?
I appreciate everybody who's been on stage tonight having these great conversations and all your wonderful questions. And for everybody watching now or in the replay, please come join us. Check us out. We have fun. We like each other, and it's a rare community. So
very true, Denise, and well said. Kat, final thoughts?
Ditto what everyone else said. For anyone listening, just start, but also understand that the marketing it's changing all the time. So you can't just let it be static, but have fun with it. Be messy. We love you guys. If you're messy, we're like, yeah, I see you. It's good.
Well said, Kat. Jill, final thoughts?
I'm a little selfish in this, but I learned so much every summit that we have, and not just about myself and what I think I know. And I realize I'm like, okay, I actually know a little bit more than what I say I think I know, but of what all of you that come to the stage with me can answer these questions and share with me that I might not have realized that we've learned, or that I don't realize that you even know. And it's so impressive to see each of us grow over the quarter, because that's how often we do this. So I love that not only do I get to experience everyone's growth, but everyone watching gets to experience your growth too.
Love that, Jill. And my final thoughts are, I thought the questions were on fire tonight, and it made for such a great conversation. And I hope that the person watching, that you watching, were able to grab some ideas and inspiration for yourself.
So Adam, this was a fun 2 hours that we got to have together with everyone here. I can't wait to do it again next quarter, but there's places that everyone can come in between to join us.
Yes, they can watch us every Friday on Good Morning Entrepreneurs, and you can tune in right where you're watching the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit. We're there every Friday, 7 a.m. Central Time.
And we'd love to welcome anyone listening to come to Groundwork Brigade Open House, which is every first Wednesday and Thursday of each month, where we are all getting our mastermindy stuff going on and building our business adventure, and where you can start building your adventure too. So come check us out, see if we are your flavor, if this is a good spot for you to start learning as well, because we're all showing you what we have started with, how the messy is, and all of the fun.
And we will see you in October for the next Fierce Entrepreneur Summit.
Thanks for joining us.